Then Jesus was led up by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. And after fasting 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. And the tempter came and said to him, "If you are the Son of God, command these stones to become loaves of bread." But he answered, "It is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God." Then the devil took him to the holy city and set him on the pinnacle of the temple and said to him, "If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down, for it is written, he will command his angels concerning you, and on their hands they will bear you up, lest you strike your foot against a stone." Jesus said to him, "Again it is written, you shall not put the Lord your God to the test." Again, the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their glory. And he said to him, "All these I will give you if you will fall down and worship me." Then Jesus said to him, "Begone, Satan, for it is written, you shall worship the Lord your God, and him only shall you serve." Then the devil left him, and behold, angels came and were ministering to him. Welcome to this episode of the Bible Explored, where we delve into the rich and complex narrative of the temptation of Jesus in the wilderness. Dense with theological and spiritual significance, this passage presents a profound exploration of Jesus' identity, mission, and the nature of true obedience and faith. The story begins with a striking scene. Jesus, led by the Spirit, ventures into the wilderness. The wilderness, a recurring motif in biblical literature, represents a place of testing, solitude, and spiritual confrontation. Here, after an extended fasting period, Jesus encounters the devil, marking the onset of a series of temptations that challenge the very core of his being and mission. The first temptation confronts Jesus in his physical vulnerability, hunger. The devil suggests that Jesus turns stones into bread, exploiting his human need. However, this temptation transcends the mere physical realm. It tests Jesus' reliance on and trust in God, challenging him to misuse his divine power for personal needs. Jesus' response, quoting from Deuteronomy, "Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God," is profoundly telling. It signifies that spiritual nourishment and obedience to God's will supersede earthly needs, setting a tone of divine allegiance and dependence. The narrative then escalates to a spiritual and psychological level as the devil takes Jesus to the pinnacle of the temple in Jerusalem. This setting is highly symbolic, standing at the heart of Jewish faith and identity. The temptation here is more subtle yet profound, to test God's promise of protection. The devil twists Scripture, using it as a tool for temptation, but Jesus counters with Scripture itself, emphasizing the principle that faith in God does not warrant putting his promises to the test. This exchange highlights the importance of rightly understanding and applying Scripture, a theme central to Jesus' later teachings. The climax of the temptations occurs on a high mountain, where the devil offers Jesus all the kingdoms of the world in exchange for worship. This temptation represents the allure of earthly power, glory, and authority. Jesus' response, "You shall worship the Lord your God, and him only shall you serve," is a decisive rejection of any earthly dominion opposing divine sovereignty. It underscores the ultimate allegiance to God's kingdom over worldly power. It paves the way for understanding the nature of Christ's kingdom, one not based on earthly dominion, but on spiritual truths and eternal values. The devil's departure and the subsequent ministering of angels to Jesus signifies the end of this intense trial period and the readiness of Jesus to embark on his public ministry. This episode in the wilderness is not merely a historical recounting, but a narrative rich with meaning for contemporary faith. It invites us to reflect on the nature of temptation in our lives, the importance of grounding ourselves in Scripture, and the essence of true worship and obedience. As we conclude this episode, we encourage you to ponder these themes. How do the temptations that Jesus faced resonate with our modern experiences? What can we learn from his responses about facing spiritual and ethical challenges? Your insights and reflections on this passage are invaluable. Please share them in the comments below as we seek to understand these deep and enduring biblical narratives together. If you find value in these explorations, support us by subscribing to The Bible Explored and sharing our content. Let's continue this journey together. uncovering Scripture's timeless wisdom and relevance in our lives today.